we don't want severe weather to harm anyone or get in anyone's harm's way. But of course, that kind of nowcasting or short-term forecasting, at least when it comes to the sun, that we're getting ahead of an event, really gives us a picture about how things could play out, especially for some of these early night systems like we're experiencing now.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is a very quick-moving line. So again, they've already cleared Claremont County out of the tornado warning, and in fact, the strongest winds are already exiting Claremont County, even out to the north of that as well. The strongest winds are now approaching Mount Orab through Hammersville. That's outside of the tornado warning, but if you are hearing sirens, that's because there's still an active tornado warning down to the southern portions there of Brown County. In Georgetown, that's a decent population center. They're not a huge population center, but that's kind of the county seat, if you will, for portions of Brown County. And Mike, I do think even that rotation that's passing through Augusta is starting to show some signs of weakening as well, but I still think there's some stronger winds embedded within this line as well.
Absolutely, and that's why that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect just south of the Ohio River into Kentucky near Maysville. And, this will happen when you get these very quick embedded circulations in lines of thunderstorms. They're quick, and then the storm becomes what we like to call outflow dominant, meaning that it turns into more of a straight line wind threat. And we're seeing that. That said, there still is the threat that you could see a very quick spin up, and that's about it. And this part of the country is well known for that, especially at this time of year in mid-spring.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been seeing an increase of severe weather, and not so much here in the Ohio Valley, but across the nation's midsection this week. There have been several instances of tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings and just reports in general. But again, this line is moving very quickly. Georgetown, your time is about up. Let's switch it back over to the terminal out of Cincinnati. And when we came on, this was a little tighter, and that has certainly weakened just a little bit. And you can even see where Mike was kind of talking about this becomes a little more outflow dominant. We're not seeing much in the way of rotation now, nearly as strong, but I think they will maintain that tornado warning just kind of out of a course of least regret and just kind of a course of caution at this time. And that's coming into Georgetown, Ripley, and Maysville. Maysville, you still have a few minutes before you should be in your safe place. And again, that's going to be below ground, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And Mike, the only other thing I noticed is there's several little appendages kind of protruding out right at the leading edge of this line, and that can be damaging winds or, again, a brief tornado possible too.
And the terminal Doppler weather radar out of CVG in Cincinnati really gives us a good picture of that, even though it's starting to get a little bit out of the range there. And from what I understand, the latest update from our partners at NWS in Wilmington say that this warning will still stay in effect until 10:30. So that's still 19 minutes. And it's moving east at 50 miles per hour. So that's a good clip. This storm is moving. That's very common, especially for nighttime systems. They tend to move very quickly, especially when they're enhanced by some mid-level winds, which is happening. That's what's kind of providing some of that fuel, especially because we really didn't have a lot of sun today. But in that sense as well, we also really have to look out for straight line winds. And that's what I think this will eventually transition to. Probably within the next 15 minutes or so. That said, still got to watch. We've got some spin in the atmosphere.
Yeah, and they're going to continue that tornado warning again and just update us what that noise in the background was you heard. And again, we use that just so we can kind of get the latest updates right away. But a couple things I want to point out, and I'll bring out the drawing tool here on this. Again, there's these little appendages that stick out. And again, this could be an enhanced bout of damaging straight line winds. Again, just to the south of Georgetown. And then the stronger one, in my opinion, looking from Cincinnati's terminal Doppler, will be south of Ripley. That's going to head into Aberdeen and Maysville. That's crossing Kentucky Route 9 and US 68. That'll come right into the Ohio River areas very shortly. So hopefully you're in your safe place. Georgetown, and again, I caution, if you're looking at reflectivity, there's not a whole lot to look at here, but it's the velocity that's providing us a better look at this. And, Mike, there's not even a lot of lightning with this, so that's a concern, too, as folks are in this tornado warning. There's no thunder. We're used to hearing something, thunder or seeing lightning before a storm comes. There's nothing with this tonight due to the lack of surface-based instability. So that's a concern too.
It is, because lightning and thunder, typically come with these intense storms. And I'm sitting here in Cincinnati right now, near the University of Cincinnati, and in fact, I just saw a decent flash of lightning and thunder here. So what's going to happen, and what seems to be happening with this line, is the line's going to come through. The most dangerous part of the storm is going to come through without the thunder and lightning. But then, it's the moderate to heavy rain behind it. We call that stratiform rain, which is just a steady, moderate rain. That's kind of where the thunder and lightning is. It's going to be after the dangerous part of the storm. Now, lightning is always dangerous. We always recommend staying indoors during a lightning threat, but the damaging wind and tornado threat is going to come ahead of that, at least from what we're seeing right now, out of both the Wilmington and terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, it looks like there was a report coming in as well out of, I believe it's Bracken County. There was a report of a barn damage and some electrical lines down. So this storm has a history of producing damage. So that's why we want you to be in a safe place. And according to the Weather Service, there are still several kinks in the line in the storms in Brown County and Mason County. They're going to continue with the tornado warning for now, but the signatures are looking less impressive. And Mike, I would second that as well, just based on just looking at the terminal Doppler alone. Again, that provides a lower level scan, so we're looking a little bit closer to the ground. And yes, there's still some kinks in there, but not nearly as strong as they were, say, about half of an hour ago, where there was.
Right. Yeah. In fact, I do remember hearing about an hour ago, and it might have even been a little more than an hour ago now. It's 10:14 at the moment.